Thank you for that inspirational and beautifully lit and well-delivered keynote address. I'm now pleased to introduce each of the participants in Map the System 2020. First, we're going to hear about the affordable renting crisis in Toronto by Crystal Fung, Sahil Parikh, and Peter Zaloff.
Hello, everyone. For our MTS project, we focused on the affordable rental housing crisis in Toronto. A housing crisis occurs when there is an extended, increasing scarcity of affordable housing. The CMHC states that housing is considered affordable if it costs 30% or less of before-tax household income. This poses a real problem in Toronto, as almost 50% of households spend more than 30% of their income on rent. Couple that with increasing population and prices, and you get a housing crisis. There are also two main problems we wanted to highlight. The first one being a conflict of perspectives. Some believe that housing is a human right, while others view it as a commodity, and the latter point then brings about the second problem of financialization. To better understand this situation, we used a system mapping approach, and that is what Peter will be discussing next.
So our team came up with these 5 system maps, which address different areas that contribute to the housing issue in Toronto. It struck us how many proposed solutions not address the main issue, or in some cases actually make the problem worse. I'll expand on 3 maps we thought were the most striking, the first of which being the stakeholder map. The issue we look at includes a variety of different stakeholders who interact with each other in many different forms. For the most part, stakeholders can be divided into 3 sectors: financial sector, public sector, and the community sector. In essence, the financial sector provides the capital, the public sector imposes regulations, and the community sector provides advocacy. We can see that costs accumulate from each stakeholder and end up being placed on the tenants. This tool demonstrates how housing becomes less affordable over time. It illustrates how the increase in housing prices and rental costs is reinforced by being part of a larger positive feedback loop. Strategies that are meant to increase housing supply are outweighed by the many factors that keep home ownership inaccessible and rental costs high. This loop examines how thinking about housing as a commodity or investment is the basis of an affordable housing issue. This form of thinking creates a system that revolves around maximizing returns on investment, building equity, and accumulating wealth. As a result, housing becomes structured to increase costs and extract profits for tenants. Many existing solutions, in fact, cater to this way of thinking and ultimately perpetuate the loop. And now Crystal will talk about solutions landscape.
So we examined the solutions currently being implemented by the Canadian government. Federal strategies seem to be based on providing funding towards reducing homelessness and modernizing and constructing new housing, as well as tax initiatives and loans for prospective homeowners. The provincial strategies are based on cutting red tape to make it easier to build more housing supply and to streamline repairs. Municipal strategies tend to be based on further investment of funding into housing support programs, as well as accelerating affordable housing construction through property tax relief, fast-tracking approvals, and activating surplus land. In Vienna, living in social housing is widely accepted, and not just for low-income households, as more than 60% of residents live in homes that are owned directly by the municipal government or subsidized not-for-profit cooperatives. This model shows that it's possible to mass-produce subsidized housing and strengthen communities through development. We identified these 5 gaps and levers of change. For this presentation, we'll be highlighting 2 that we think are the most impactful. The first gap is the lack of recognition by policymakers that the housing goals centered on valuing housing as a human right is incompatible with market-based strategies. The levers include education programs and advocacy campaigns that bring attention to the cultural perceptions of housing as a commodity and its incompatibility with effectively solving the affordable housing crisis. The second gap is that we notice the government housing programs mainly address the supply side of the housing crisis, either by providing funding and incentives to developers or changing regulations to speed up construction. For leavers, we suggest developing strategies that aimed at the demand side of the issue. If examples include regulating financial markets and involving employers to tackle stagnating incomes that haven't kept up with housing costs.
To conclude, we wanted to share some key insights as we worked on this project. Crystal realized that this crisis was rooted in cultural beliefs and how we think about what housing represents. Peter realized that the issue is much more complex than he initially anticipated, and that there are bigger problems beyond the fact that housing is expensive. I realized that stakeholder interactions are mostly to blame, where government responsibilities were handed over to the financial sector due to short term thinking. Overall, we developed a greater understanding of why an affordable rental housing crisis exists in Toronto, and thank you for allowing us to present.
We are a team of 3 students at Master of Engineering, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship at Ryerson, and we are working on enhancing collaboration and group-based learning in schools and universities in Ontario. Team-based learning, which is becoming more important these days, is a strategy that instructors use to enhance student engagement and quality of students' learning in the class. Before going deeper into that, we have to remember that cooperation is different than collaboration. Cooperation is something like when students get a teamwork assignment, they divide tasks among each other and work on those tasks independently to get the job done. But collaboration is more than that. Collaboration needs some interactions, need people to work together to have excellency, creativity, and innovation as a result. Collaboration purpose is promoting trust, inspiration, exchange, assist, support, success, share, and teamwork. And this is actually the purpose of team-based learning. But it seems that students doesn't really learn anything about collaboration in the school, because when we interviewed a lot of students and instructors, we noticed that their satisfaction in team-based learning is really low. But on the other hand, instructors were satisfied with their team-based learning. So it can be concluded that students don't learn how to collaborate in schools. In the interviews and survey, we noticed that there are 2 main issues with students. At first, they don't know the other classmates to form a team. They don't know anything about their skill sets, personality, etc. And their team members do not contribute enough to the project. And on the other hand, instructors don't have enough time to keep track of students' performance in the team. And they said that peer evaluation is not efficient enough to know about team dynamics in the class. So we apply technology to team-based learning for students' collaboration so that they can form and manage their team and assess their teammates better. So there are 4 different types of features. So for example, starting with students, they have to create a profile on the platform and form their teams based on personality, availability, skills, genders, objectives. To address the first issue. To address the second issue, they have other features like assigning tasks, send messages, share files, video conference. On the other hand, instructors have a summary of team activities in 1 page, and they will have another feature, which is online anonymous peer evaluation, which is far better than what they already have. So this is the stakeholder map. And as you can see, students and instructors are in the center, but instructors are the one to request the tool for team-based learning to departments. And departments have to approach universities to purchase the technology from different collaboration tools, means companies. So there are 4 gaps and 4 level of changes. The first one is team-based learning is not promoted enough in the schools, and instructors have to include it in their coursework. The second one is students don't know how to collaborate. They know how to cooperate, and university have to teach them how to collaborate instead of cooperate. The third one is they don't have enough tools for group work, and university has to purchase it for them. The fourth is instructors don't have enough time to help students with the teamwork, and they have to include it, use some tools for it. So this is our team that we are working on this platform, and you can have more information on the website.